Hi, everybody, and welcome to this very special episode of Friendlies. Today, we are so lucky to have Alyssa Naeher, U.S. Women's National Team goalkeeper, on the show. I absolutely loved this conversation with Alyssa, but I have to call myself out really quickly. I was such a boomer in part of this interview. Early on in talking to Alyssa, I called the New York Times game Connections a new game. This game has been out for like a year, and since talking to Alyssa, I've been obsessively playing it every day, so everybody can just cringe just like I did when you hear me talking about it. But I loved talking to Alyssa about her penalty kick mentality, the U.S. Women's National Team's new era with Emma Hayes, and even the time we threw out the first pitch for the Red Sox game together. It was really, really great chatting with her. We recorded this interview a few weeks ago before Alyssa picked up the injury in club play. That means she's not in with the U.S. Women's National Team this week. But as you'll hear, the Chicago Red Stars, Alyssa's club team, have a huge game this weekend. They're playing at Wrigley Field, the iconic home of the Chicago Cubs, for the first time ever. And so we're rooting for Alyssa to be back on the field for that one. Here is Alyssa Naeher. Okay, I am so happy to be talking to Alyssa Naeher today, a footballer who, as much as anybody over the past 2 years, has emerged as a cult hero in huge moments for the U.S. Women's National Team. Alyssa, obviously, is currently the goalkeeper for the U.S. Women's National Team and the Chicago Red Stars of the NWSL. She's known for many things, I like to say, including her reverence for Home Depot, her ability to save penalty kicks, and perhaps most notably, her ability to score penalty kicks. Yes, you heard me correctly. Along with her 2 World Cups and her Olympic bronze medal, Alyssa has accumulated 103 caps with the U.S. Women's National Team. Not an easy feat at the goalkeeper position. She's one of only 3 goalkeepers to achieve the milestone of 100 caps. She is our favorite Stratford, Connecticut girly. Alyssa, welcome to the women's game. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Sam. I'm so excited to be here. This is going to be fun.
I know. I'm really excited to catch up. First things first, Alyssa. Are you still doing the crossword every day? Or are you doing the Wordle? Like, what's your word game of choice?
So I still do crossword every day, or try to anyways. And then I've recently gotten back into the Wordle. I was so excited. I was in camp, and like a lot of the girls do it in camp, and like Soph and Nay and Lindsay, they have like a little chat with it, and they were like, hey, can you do it? And I got invited into the Wordle group, and I was like so honored. So I was like, yeah, let me download this app right now. And Tierna does it too, so I'll text Tierna on the side as well and just like kind of do that. But it's been really fun to get back in the Wordle game and the mini.
I know.
Into the mini.
I'm in and out of Wordle too. There's this new New York Times game called Connections. I have not dipped my toe in there yet. Are you playing that?
Love it.
Are you good at it?
Some days are better than others. Like some days I feel like my brain is like malfunctioning and like I can't even put like a single connection together. And then other days it's like super quick, but it's sometimes you just like stare at it and I'm like, yeah, today's not the day. Just gonna move.
All right, I might have to pick up that game. But Alyssa, my parents were visiting me recently and we were watching your game with Chicago, and my mom, this is a direct quote from my mom. She goes, I just feel like Alyssa is one of us.
I'm so honored.
And I think she was just like, she meant because like you're from New England, you played for the Breakers, like you know my family really well, but I want to just ask, like you obviously grew up in New England, we both grew up cheering for the Patriots. Talk a little bit about like how you love being from where you're from.
Yeah, I love New England, a New England girl through and through. Obviously growing up in Connecticut was amazing. I had so much family in Connecticut as well. Like my mom's whole side of the family still lives in Connecticut. So it was just like growing up with a ton of like aunts, uncles, cousins was just like amazing. I loved the small town, small state vibe. And then having the opportunity to stay in New England and play in Boston and get drafted to Boston. Such an amazing city, such a fun city. And I feel like there's so many players have come through the Breakers too that you just like, there's history behind it. And then obviously you and I had the experience of getting to throw out the pitch at Fenway after the 2016 World Cup, which was just like, it was such a surreal moment to be like at Fenway in a Red Sox jersey, like throwing out the first pitch. So
I know.
Like a full moment.
I know. Do you remember how you almost missed it? Like your flight, like tell this story. Your plane landed like 20 minutes before we were due to throw the first pitch. Like tell us what happened and how you made it.
It was so insane because we were, this was my mistake because I'm really into my Sky Miles and making sure I fly the same airline. So I picked a flight because I wanted to make sure I flew on United. And so I took like a chance and like left a little, we were coming back from the ESPYs. So I took the early flight, but there was a storm that came through or something, which actually ended up being a good thing because it delayed the game. But a storm came through, so Logan like shut things down, but we didn't have enough fuel in the plane to like keep circling.
Oh my God.
So we landed at like, I think in Teterboro or somewhere like that, like randomly.
Like a regional Boston airport.
Teterboro, I think, is in New York.
Oh.
Like we made it to Massachusetts yet. It was like, but a really small airport. And we weren't even getting off. We never even left the runway. We just needed to get more fuel because we couldn't circle because the storm was going to be.
Oh my God.
So I'm like texting you from the tarmac in Teterboro. And I'm like, Sam, I'm not going to make it. Like
I know. I'm like chilling in like basically like a green room at Fenway, like ready to go. And you're like, I'm on the plane. And I'm like, there's no way.
My sister was already at the stadium. So I was like, you know what? Worst comes to worst. Like she can just put on the jersey. She looks enough like me. Like people
This
won't
is
even
your twin sister, Amanda.
She had driven up from Connecticut. So she was at the game. So she was like, I'm ready to go. And yeah, we were like, I'm literally sitting and I'm standing up and I'm talking to the flight attendants and I'm like, kind of just asking questions. And then I was like, okay, like, I don't want to be that person, but like, I'm supposed to be throwing out the pitch at Fenway in an hour. What are the chances?
Oh my God, I forgot about this. Wasn't the pilot like coming and talking to him being like, we're going to get you there no matter what?
He came out, they're like, okay, sweetie, don't worry about this. Sit down. And I'm like starting to sweat. And I'm like, what do I tell them to? They're like, I'm like texting you. They're like, okay, the game got pushed. The first pitch is pushed back. It's pushed back. And the pilot's like, don't worry about this. We're going to get you there. He's like, I promise. And I was like, all right. And everything happened and landed. Like I didn't even get my bag. They sent someone and had them wait at baggage claim to take my bag and put me like in a car and just got me there as quick as possible. And then somebody came later with my bag.
Yeah, and Alyssa, literally, I left my little green room and I started walking down the tunnel to walk out to the field, and Alyssa comes running up behind me. Like, she made it by 30 seconds, you guys.
Literally 30
we
seconds.
Go out and throw the first pitches. Mine went a little high. Yours was obviously, like, perfect. And then you, like, looked at me and you're like, I can't believe we just did that. Like, I made it.
Yeah, it was so much fun.
Oh, my God. It was so much fun. And then we had beers and hot dogs in the frickin' suite upstairs.
Yeah, it was amazing. Singing Sweet Caroline, it was the best.
Oh my God, that was such a dream come true. Okay, all done with the Red Sox story. So I was listening to the podcast that you just did with Julie Foudy, Laughter Permitted, which is such a great podcast, by the way. And you said something on there. You guys talked about this a little bit, and I wanted to bring this back up with you because I'm so shocked and rattled by it. You said that you were told at every level of soccer that you didn't have the personality to be the U.S. Women's National Team's #1 goalkeeper. And to me, you're like cool, calm, collected. You communicate well. To me, this is like, who the frick told you that? They were so wrong. But you heard this so many times and you started hearing it at a young age. So I want to know if it was like hurtful to you. Like, what emotions would you feel when somebody would say this to you?
I wouldn't take it as like hurtful necessarily. It was just like, and it wasn't even, I don't think, meant to be like a dig or even like a hidden motivation of anything. It was just like coaches giving honest feedback. And I will say, like, when I was like younger, like I was very quiet, very tentative. Like I didn't communicate very well. I really had to grow into that side of like the position and the communication side of it. And like that has been a big piece, like along the way. I've actually had to put more time into doing that than a lot of other areas in like, I had to make a conscious effort to learn like the art of communication and to basically like project my voice and do that because I did struggle with that when I was younger. And the feedback wasn't like, you won't be able to keep playing, you won't be able to like make a career of this, but it was like, you'll be a great number 2. you'll be like a good training part, like you'll be a great teammate, you'll be a great like for the team. But it was like the question of like I think handling pressure, handling like just like the weight sometimes I think of what it all is. And I think that was more of what it was. But it was like, yeah, you'll probably have a pretty good pro career, like different things, like, but it was like, there's a chance that like this could hold you back from being like a number one.
I'm like scoffing at the quote, you'll probably have a pretty good pro career. Like, how embarrassing for whoever said that to you. But it does make me wonder if you are glad you were given this feedback because it forced you to work on it in a way. Like, do you look back and see a point where you committed to improving in some areas like communication that you had to improve on? And do you see that as part of your journey to be where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember actually very clearly it's actually why I chew gum in every game, because it was like a trick that I realized, like more of like a mental note of like, if I was chewing too much, I was like, probably haven't said anything in a while. So it was like kind of like a conscious thing of like, okay, you need to start like engaging and just like staying tuned in and communicating. But I remember my freshman year at college, I was at Penn State. Allie Krieger was my center back at the time. And she was like coming off the year before they were, she's All-American, 3-time All-American, already on national teams, and they had just gone to the Final Four. And I remember I was starting as a freshman, and Aaron McLeod had been their goalkeeper before, who was obviously amazing. And here comes little old 18-year-old me, just like, hey guys, like ready to play. And I was just like, I was kind of like, who am I to tell you how to do your job? Like, you're way better at this. You've been doing this way longer. And I remember like Allie sitting with me on a plane, flying home from something, probably like 5 or 6 games into the season. She's like, look, you have to open your mouth. Like, you are the eyes and ears behind me. Like, you're not like yelling at me. You're not telling me what to do. You're not doing all that. She's like, but I need you. I need you to tell me. You can see more than what I can see. Like, I need you to use your voice to help me do my job better. And it was like the light bulb went off of like, okay. And it was like almost like that giving of permission in a way of like, I looked at the communication, I looked at that side of it differently than I had before.
Yeah. It was almost like a requirement to be a good teammate. And that's what
exactly
that was the thing that clicked for you, that showed you, oh, this isn't about me. This is about what I need to do for the team.
Exactly.
That's really cool. I'm really glad you shared that story. I want to get into the national team a little bit now. You got your first cap with the U.S. Women's National Team in 2014, but you didn't become a regular starter until 2017, replacing Hope Solo. I want to hear a little bit about what that's like as a goalkeeper. I mean, personally, I know what it's like to sit on the bench for the national team a lot, but you earn your way into camp for years with the national team, and you only occasionally are getting caps in those early days as a goalkeeper because the regular starter really just gets the caps. Mm-hmm. So my question is, how do you try to prove yourself when you are getting so little game time? Like, how do you differentiate yourself in training, or how important does that club environment become for you to showcase yourself?
Yeah, I think it's huge. For me, it was very like, you go through these like different periods of like, when I first got called in, I was like 21-year-old, like just finished my senior year of college, like was very excited because I actually got called into my first camp in 2009 and then didn't get a cap until 2014. So there was like 5 years of, so like, I didn't even dress for a game. I was like, it was so embarrassing. I showed up to one game and I didn't know that you like only dressed 18 players for the game. And I like walk in, I'm like looking for my jersey. I'm like, where's my jersey? Where's my locker? They're like, oh, you don't
get one.
You have a jersey. And I was like, okay. I'm like, there's like, here's your lanyard. You can go up to into the suite.
Go upstairs. Like, we'll see you later.
It was like, oh gosh. But I think it was like, for me, it was all about the training. It was about the building relationships with my teammates, building relationships with my coaches, earning their respect along the way. And the only thing that I knew that I could control in all of it was like being a good teammate and showing up every single day and giving everything that I could to the team to try to help the team win in whatever capacity that was. And also just trying to learn from, like, I had Hope and Barney and Ashlyn and, you know, Paul Rogers was the goalkeeper coach at the time. And then it was Graham, and we had Phil Wedden was in there for a little bit. So it was like, I kind of just looked around and I was like, I can learn so much from all these other amazing goalkeepers who have been doing this for a long time as well. And I think I used that time to earn the respect and the trust of my teammates, so that when I did get the opportunity to play, and it's like, we tell this to people all the time, it's like, you always have to be ready, because you never know when your opportunity is going to come. And then you don't want to let it pass you by, because you don't know if you'll get another one. And It's like, you just have to stay ready at all times.
Well, I just was going to say, I love what you say. You feel like you had to earn people's respect. I think I was getting called in with the national team, I was an alternate at the Olympics, but I didn't feel like I was on the team until in like late 2018 or early 2019, Tobin Heath came up to me in a training and was like, Sam, I know you're not getting any minutes. Keep doing what you're doing. We're all noticing how good you're doing out here. It's like, just keep it up. And I went, oh, I just earned Tobin's respect. Like, am I on the team now? And it's like, so you have like almost have to cross this threshold of somebody else kind of can validate that you belong there. And then you grow in confidence even more. Did you experience that too?
Absolutely. I think for me early on, like Lauren Holiday was always like in my corner, just like kind of always like, she's like, all right, let's go for a drive. Let's do this. Like, just keep working. Like, so she was always like kind of a trusted friend that I had in that moment, or like for the early years. But then my moment came in 2014. So the qualifying for the 2015 World Cup.
Yeah.
It was only 20 players were rostered, but they brought a third goalkeeper as like training. And I was the third goalkeeper. So I wasn't getting paid. I wasn't going to get like the bonus. I didn't get a medal. I didn't get like any of these things, like, but I was there training, like doing all this stuff as everybody else. And it was just like, and even in that time, I was like, hey, Alyssa, can you go be a forward today? Hey, Alyssa, can you play center back today?
Oh,
hey, Alyssa, don't even put your gloves on. Just like, we need you to serve. And it was like, you just have to, like, that was the role. Like, that was what, and my thing is like, if you can embrace it, like, that's what helped me get on the team in 2015. And like, my gold medal from 2015 is the exact same size and color as it is from the gold medal from 2019, which had very different roles. So it's like, it all does matter. But I remember finishing that 3-week tournament, and it was hard. I mean, it's like, you're going 21 days straight without a day off, because you're just like constantly going. And I remember sitting in the lobby after the final, and players coming up to me even on the field and like giving me hugs, because they were like calling me from the stands to come onto the field, which was like very helpful, like meant a lot anyways. And then it was Kelly O'Hara that came up to me in the lobby and was like, Liz, like, what you just did was really freaking hard. And I just want you to know that we all see it, and we saw it every single day. And you helped us get this, you helped us get this. And it was like that. I remember just taking like and it was like, it was just like, I was like, that was very similar to yours, obviously, but like,
it's so funny. I just talked to Lynn about this on Good Vibes, our other podcast where it's like just me and Lynn, or just me and Becky, just a few weeks ago, where we talked about with team chemistry, it's so important that the players who are role players, maybe it's somebody who's first off the bench, if they are pissed that they're first off the bench, it's so bad for team chemistry. But when they kind of say, I'm going to be the best that I can be coming into the field off the bench, that like kind of makes everybody's role clear. It makes everybody feel important. Obviously, it's important that players like Tobin and Kelly are reinforcing their role and making them feel important. But the attitude of that person is, I think, tells you so much about the chemistry of the team. So I love that we both had an experience where we got to play that role and kind of be rewarded for it.
I think like what it has done for me also now, like as somebody who is playing and a more veteran player, like I'm very aware of like when I see that player who was me, like I have a responsibility. Like I need to make sure I go tell you, hey, we see you. Hey, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Just keep doing it. We notice you. It matters. Because I think that I know how impactful that her saying that to me was. And now it's like, if I can make sure that I give that story to somebody else, that it can be, the Kelly, I can be their Kelly, then like I want to do that.
Totally. I think that's like, I think about the national team coming full circle all the time. And this is such a perfect example of that, how something happens for you when you're young. And then as you grow into this older position, you realize that it's your job now to give that back. You mentioned you won the World Cup in 2015. We won again in 2019, and you made multiple key saves to help us get through to the final. One of those saves was, this is going to start the penalty kick talk. Everybody strap in. We're talking penalty kicks now. One of those tournament changing saves for the U.S. women's national team in 2019 was a penalty kick save against England in the semifinal. For listeners who might not know, we were winning 2-1, and in the 84th minute, we conceded a penalty kick, which England captain Steph Houghton stepped up to take. And Alyssa, you saved it. I know that you always say in these moments, you remind yourself that you've prepared for this, that you know what you're doing, that you're ready. What did you say to yourself after you made this save in the World Cup semifinal?
I don't know if I can repeat it. I was just like, I kind of blacked out, like the whole thing of it.
I know.
Like,
Me too.
Like a blackout experience. Just like, you don't remember. But I remember like, I didn't actually realize how long like the review and everything took until I eventually watched it back. Like at some point it was being replayed on TV, and I happened to like be flipping through and I saw it, and I had no recollection that it took like 10 minutes before like from like the time that they called the foul to when she actually took the kick.
Yeah.
But I just remember being like, putting myself like almost in a trance of just like, okay, just like falling back on everything. And I saved it, and I popped up so quick. And it was like,
I know, Alyssa, sorry, I'm going to interrupt you, because remember we were trained to sprint when the goalkeeper had the ball, to go sprint to half field and counterattack. Yeah. You saved it, and I like booked it. I was like, I got to go. I'm a robot.
I know, and I was like so concerned with getting called for like the 6 seconds or 8 seconds, whatever it was. And I'm like yelling at everyone, I was like, go away, go away, go away. I'm like, why did I stand up? I should have just stayed on the ground. But it was like, I remember then throwing the ball, and I was like, oh my God, like, did that just happen? And I was just like, I was like, wow. It just like, it clicked, and I was like, that was insane. That was a pretty incredible moment, for sure.
It was so incredible. I was so giddy after that game. I remember Sonnet and I were dancing so aggressively in the locker room that Dawn Scott, our performance coach, had to come in and be like, you guys, we have another game. Can you guys like chill?
I know. We all like, it like felt kind of like a final, and we were like,
I know.
Switch back on because we got another big game, and like we didn't win yet. It was almost like,
I know.
It's a miracle. It's like, we always think that game against that like was actually the final. It was only their semifinal, like the Miracle on Ice game in '86. Like, they still had to go play the final.
Oh my God, but they won, right?
They did win, yeah. But it was
thank God. I've been living my whole life thinking that game against Russia was the final.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was only like the semifinal. I don't think it was the final.
Oh my gosh. Well, we need to do some miracle trivia at the end of this episode. Okay, more about the penalty kicks, Alyssa. So at the Gold Cup earlier this year, the U.S. women's national team had a penalty kick shootout against Canada. The notorious rain game semifinal. You made 3 penalty kick saves, and this is like the real kicker here, Alyssa. You took a PK and you scored it during the shootout. Then at She Believes, you guys had another penalty kick shootout where you made another 3 saves and you scored your penalty kick again. Like, you're becoming the U.S. women's national team's best penalty kick taker. Can you just explain to somebody who might not know, in a normal, non-Alyssa Naeher penalty kick shootout, what are the expectations of a goalkeeper? How should they perform? What's expected?
So I would say that the expectation, I guess, is like try to get one. Give your team a chance. But it's like, you're also, the other goalkeeper's been said the same thing. So it's like it just depends on who can kind of do it. But it's
who saves 3 and who scores.
But it's like that's always like what is like kind of been said like to goalkeepers. Like it's hard. It's like it's a shot from 12 yards away. Like they're hard to do, but try to save one. Give your team a chance to then have them fall back on like getting score and like doing that. But But yeah, I mean, for me, I'm like, I just try to take each one like individually. Because if you look at it like in totality, I feel like it can be a lot. But I try to just like look one at a time, and then it's like, okay, whether I make it or save it or don't, it's like, okay, on to the next one. It's like,
right.
Because there's like still more to come.
Right. True. There's especially more to come when you have to score your PK and then walk back into the goal. There's literally more to come. I know that there's a lot of research behind this. We're not asking you to give away any secrets here because we need you. But if your research tells you that a player goes a certain way, how much do you rely on the research versus your instinct and like your gut feeling? In the moment, will you go against your research to like off something you might see or feel?
Sometimes. I mean, there's so much research now and different things, and everybody has different techniques, styles, or like how much information they want, how little information they want. The players are getting so good now too. It's like you have someone like a Megan Rapinoe, like a Lindsay Horan, Alex, like these players take them at such a high frequency. It's like they have the ability to basically do what they want. So it's like they put the time and the training into doing that as well. So there's then this element of like a chess match of and even like in both games with Canada, like Adriana Leon had to take in the regulation, right at the end of regulation in both. And then in, which one was first? Gold Cup, she was the first one to step up and take it. So it's like, it's this mind game on both sides of, okay, do I go where I just went? Is she going to think that I'm going to go where she just went? Does she think that I think that I think? And then you're just kind of like, it's a mind game for both parties.
Totally. Well, you mentioned how much players train their PKs and how much these players who take them regularly are taking them. How much are you training PKs?
Pretty frequently, like when we're in tournament modes, like we'll try to, like when we know that penalties are now going to be, like we won't train them as much in like a regular camp, like if it's just friendlies, just because it's, right. I mean, you'll always have players that like to take them, usually the ones that'll be like kind of in the top 3 of takers, like
practice
we rely to during an actual game. Like they'll take them and players will do it pretty frequently, but we will try to create as many shootouts or penalty kicks and different things. But we also try to balance it, at least for us too, is a lot of times we as goalkeepers actually get taken out of like the goal for it, because it's like we've trained with you guys so much. Like I don't want to start messing with you because I know where you're going to go. And now all of a sudden I'm getting in my own teammate's head right before we're about to go play in a game. So like we'll bring in boys or different teams and just like, so we'll still kick them in those moments just to be part of that process of it. But
coaches don't want goalkeepers who say I'm training my penalty kick. They wouldn't want me to go against you every day and not have confidence that my kick is good if it is, because you'll just know where I'm going to go.
Yeah. And I've told this to you before. I've told this to other players. I'm like, don't let me get in your head. Like, now's not the time for I'm not going to mess with you. I promise I'm not going to mess with you. Like, if I've seen you go to the right 3 times in a row and that's your spot, go to the spot that you're comfortable. Like, keep doing that. Yeah. I'm not going to start cheating just because, like, I want to save your penalty kick today in this one transaction. Like, I will do my routine. I will do what I do, and I will make my best effort to get there, but as if I didn't know where you were going. And then if I save it, then you need to do, like, work on it a little bit more, like, spot. Wow. But, like, I don't want to be that person that's just cheating and going the way just because, like, I don't want to get my own teammates' heads. Like, that's not going to help anybody.
Right. That's like a whole nother layer to this of training PKs. Alyssa, do you remember where I used to take my PKs?
You started changing eventually.
If you were faced up against me right now, where do you think I'd go?
I would dive to my right.
Yeah. You're right.
But you kick it so hard. I'm like, you just gotta get in there. I'm like,
when you save a PK, what emotion do you feel? Like, I remember when I used to score my PKs, I would just feel relief. Like, not happiness, not joy. It was just relief.
There's a lot of relief for sure.
Yeah.
There's like, it's like the feeling of doing your job. Like, again, it's like, I want to help the team win. And by making a save, I'm like, okay, now I'm giving them a lifeline. Like a lifeline sounds weird, but like now I'm giving them a chance. I'm giving them like an opportunity to like step up, because now obviously we're about to shoot. So it's like, I would say that mine would be like, there's a proud feeling of like I did what I had been training to do and I got it. But then there's definitely that relief as well of okay, little breathing room, like we're good, everything's okay.
And then when you shoot them, like, what's your, I mean, again, I would like die if we revealed too much here, but you look calm, you look unfazed when you're taking them. Do you feel like you're reading the other goalkeeper because you know what to look for? Like, do you have like the key here?
I mean, truth be told, like, there's no like secret to doing like the perfect shoot, that like, it just, you have to have things go your way, truthfully. Like, you do as much preparation as you can, and then you just, you want it to work out. Like, so you fall back on all this stuff before. So it's kind of just being in the moment, falling back on everything that you're doing. But like, there's no like perfect recipe. There's no big secret. There's no, like, everyone's going to be a little bit different with it.
Good answer, Alyssa.
You just
Good answer. Like, we're keeping the secret locked down. Okay, that was the fun part about the PKs. Alyssa, you literally are otherworldly when it comes to PKs. But unfortunately, we have to backtrack a little bit to last summer in New Zealand with the U.S. Women's National Team competing in the 2023 Women's World Cup. The team fell short and ended up losing to Sweden in a shootout in the round of 16 on literally the closest goal line decision that we all think you saved. You said recently in this Laughter Per Minute episode that a piece of your heart is still on the field in New Zealand. And when you said that, I was like, I feel the same way. I just feel it about the Canada semifinal from the Tokyo Olympics. I remember the disbelief that it was over. And of course, we had a bronze medal game that we went on to win, and I'm so thankful for that. But we had recovery training the next day. And at the end of practice, I had to like walk away from the team because I was bawling. And I just like couldn't hold in my like devastation any longer. And so I think my question for you here is, losing with the US Women's National Team is so like uniquely painful. And I want to know why you think that is.
I think there's a lot to it. There's such a high level of expectation from the outside for the team to do well and to win and to perform. But I think sometimes what can get lost in that is, and especially when teams or players kind of proceed as like business as usual, it can sometimes come across as like indifference. But I think it's more of like a focus on our own level of expectation, and standards are so much higher than what anybody else could ever put on us. You know what I mean? It's like that's why we all compete at this level. That's why we all train and give everything that we have to make the team, to be part of the team, to be competing in these tournaments at the highest level. And I think that the losses feel so devastating because you give literally absolutely everything that you have for not just the couple weeks of that tournament, but the months leading into it, the years leading into it, the preparation, the time away from family, the time away from like doing, like missing weddings, missing funerals, missing all sorts of family things, fun, like, and obviously it's not like a woe is us, like the reward obviously is so high for the sacrifices that we make along the way to get there, but we each like give so much of ourselves and collectively to a common goal, to what we're trying to accomplish. So then when you don't get it, when you don't like, because there's no part of you that like you truly believe that you're going to win. Like you wouldn't be there if you didn't. So it's like when you don't, like it's painful. It hurts. Like because you gave everything that you had to it and it didn't work out. And it's like, that's why sports are so much fun to watch and to be a part of. Cause it's like, one, the dichotomy of all. It means
so much.
It means so much. Like the dichotomy is always like you see, I mean, and you can't make everybody happy. So it's like you've got people in pure elation And then you have another side of people that are just as equally devastated. And we've been on both sides. It's like
for every like amazing celebration that's out there, there's an equally devastated whole other team.
But I think that's too, like these moments, it's like, it's hard to, because I think people are like, oh, just, get over these games, get over, like, they're not things that you just like get over. You like, they will always stay with you, but not in a way that you're harping on it or different things. We use it as like the motivation to keep going. Cause like, that's why when we look back on 2019, when we were standing on the podium, like you remember all the hard losses along the way and how awful that felt, which makes the moments of success like that much sweeter, because you gave the same amount to it. It's not really necessarily that it's just that one worked out and then sometimes it doesn't. But I mean, it's just, every athlete, everybody that plays at a high level has these games or these moments that you're just like, I want that one back.
They just like, I think it's perfect what you said. A piece of you is always still there. Like you left a piece of your heart there. It's like that game, that loss will always have this little piece of me that is just
it's
gone
just,
now.
it just happened. And I think that's okay. I think that's part of, obviously then part of learning how to lose and doing that is like how you move on from that, how you rebound from it, how you move forward, because you can't just stay in the past. You have to move forward. Like there's more games, there's more this, there's more that, but what can you learn from those heartbreaking moments to prepare you for the future?
Right. Well, perfect. Speaking of the future, I'm going to wrap up this convo about the U.S. Women's National Team. Emma Hayes is now coming to the U.S. Women's National Team to be the head coach. When this episode drops, the first game of the Olympics will be 8 weeks away. So I want to hear what you're looking forward to for this U.S. Women's National Team and what your expectations are for Emma Hayes to be your head coach.
I'm excited. I think we've had, the last few months have been unique for sure. They've been, challenging in ways. They've been, but it's been exciting. There's been a lot of transition. I think there's a lot of excitement around the team. I think there is a renewed energy around the group. I think Twyla obviously did a good job, in this interim period with the team. And I think we've had a really unique blend of veteran players with Becky and Alex and Lynn and Crystal, myself, Lindsay, to have like that group of experience, but then also there's also now this like middle range of experience too, like Sophs and the Nay and that whole like Trinity, like that group they're not new anymore.
But they have some experience. Sophia Smith, Naomi Girma, they were at the World Cup. They aren't rookies anymore.
No, so like they're still very young, but they actually do have a lot of experience under their belts as well and have competed at an international tournament. Yeah. So it's like they've then got that middle group, and now you've got even like the new, which is the babies. But I think it's great. I think that's what it takes to like move forward, and there's always going to be these moments of transition. I think Emma coming in she's going to bring a wealth of experience. She's obviously been in the game for a very long time and been at a high level for a long time. I think she clearly knows what it takes to win. I think her track record at Chelsea and what she's done there kind of speaks for itself. I think in the, one of the first conversations that she had with the team, you could just like feel her passion and her desire to win. She's like, I love winning. We're like, great. So do we. Like, this is fantastic.
Say no more. We know what you mean, Emma.
With you. But I think it's like that. There's just like a renewed energy with like change is always hard, but there's also good things that come with change as well. And I think it's going to be great.
I think it's going to be great too. I am so excited for you guys. The Olympics are right around the corner. I have a couple more questions for you about Chicago. So this year, your team was bought by new owners, the Ricketts family, who also own the Chicago Cubs. We have also seen the return of Mal Swanson, who missed the majority of last season with a serious knee injury that she suffered on U.S. Women's National Team duty. You and I have both played with Mal. Mal came on this show. She was so incredible to hear from. And seeing her take off this season and just pretty much show up exactly as good a form as she was when she got injured has been incredible. So as somebody who has to face Mal in training every day, what makes her so good?
She's like just in this like upper echelon of elite players. I think she's just, it's been, I'm so proud of Mal. I think it's just been to watch her come back in this year. I think you said it best, like it looks like she hasn't missed a beat. And I think that that's incredible to see that. But I think one of the pictures that I posted is like me giving her a hug after the Utah game, which was obviously our first game back this season. And I think for me and for others who have watched her in this last year, we know the work and how hard this year has been. Like I was on the field with her when she went down in that game in April. And like in the moment, you can feel like you've just lost the World Cup. You've lost that opportunity. You've lost and you could feel it. And even like in the, few weeks and months after that, it's like, and we lost our teammate for our Chicago. And obviously we relied on her very, very heavily, even the year before. And just the way that she impacts a team is like a true MVP. When you talk about like the value a player adds to a team, she is that person. Like she's one of those people that just makes everybody around her better. And then she also goes on and scores these ridiculous goals. She makes these 70-yard runs and just goes off. But to see her put in the work and to come back in, it's like, you're right. She looks like she hasn't missed a beat, but she's put in so much to make sure that that's exactly how it looks. And she makes it look easy, which is incredible.
I know. I'm actually really glad you said that, because I think I'm outside of this now in the media, and one of my things I've been saying about Mal is like, she came back, she's in the same form. Look at her crushing it. And it's so important for fans and media to remember she didn't just get hurt and then a year later come back the same as before. There was so much agony, and Mal told us on this podcast, so much serious pain and like a really scary situation that she went through. So I'm really glad that you reminded us of that, to just keep in mind as we watch and talk about these players, the difficult moments that they go through as well. Before we wrap up Chicago, I want to ask you about this. Coming up on June 8th, the Chicago Red Stars are going to play the first ever NWSL game at Chicago's iconic Wrigley Field. Tell me all about it, Alyssa. How excited are you guys to play there?
We're excited. I think it's going to be an incredible atmosphere. I think the goal for the team is to have a sellout, I think, which would be around, I think it's like 40,000 that you can get in there. So, they're putting a lot of work into it. I think this is a unique opportunity for us as a team. There's a lot of moving pieces in the city of Chicago right now of, the White Sox getting, new funding for stadiums, the Bears getting funding for a stadium. So I think obviously, long-term goals, the Ricketts have always said we would love a soccer-specific stadium for women in the city of Chicago. And I think bringing this recognition, and if we can show that, what's it, Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. Let's have the fans come to see how they show up to Wrigley. And I think the excitement around it is great. I think it's going to be a unique experience for sure. We talked earlier about the experience at Fenway and being a New England kid, but it's on that level of, Fenway and Wrigley are just the two most iconic, obviously outside of the old Yankee Stadium, but the two most iconic baseball, not just baseball, but sports venues in this country. So to have the opportunity to go in and kind of have that experience, I think will be really cool. I think they're doing a great job with, the converting of the field and all the maintenance and everything else. They're going to make it safe and playable, and it's going to be a great atmosphere. So I think it's going to be fun.
Oh my gosh. Okay, June 8th, Wrigley Field. I am so excited for this. The Chicago Red Stars. Oh, what an amazing opportunity. Okay, Alyssa, if you have 5 more minutes, we got some fans to ask you some fun, quick questions. Vaxwell Smart on Twitter asks, Neely Martin has had to play goalkeeper twice in games, including in the NWSL Championship. Mia Hamm once had to play goalkeeper for the U.S. Women's National Team. So, Alyssa, which U.S. Women's National Team field player would you most trust in goal if all other goalkeepers were unavailable?
Becky. I'd put Becky in there.
Our girl, Becky Sauerbrunn. Freaking love that. I remember when I was playing for the U20s, they had like backup goalkeeper tryouts for the field players.
Yeah.
And I wanted it so bad, Alyssa. Like
Great.
I was so like thirsty for it. I was like, please pick me. And they picked Julie Ertz, obviously. Like, look, in retrospect, I'm like, yeah, like that makes so much sense. Tell me why you'd pick Becky.
I just think that obviously being a center back, she like already understands, like she can read the game, she can make the decisions. I think she just is fully committed to doing anything that she makes up her mind to do. And she's going to commit to doing it. And she would be tenacious and fearless with it. And she'd just be steady. She would just be like, all right, we got this. It's fine.
Love that girl. Oh, goalkeeper Becky. I love that. Okay. Elise on Instagram asks, now that she's a hugger, who on the U.S. Women's National Team gives the best hugs?
Who gives the best hugs? It's a good question. I did not expect that that post has gotten a lot of traction. It's been very funny ever since, like, oh, you're a hugger now. It's like so funny.
Alyssa, like I said at the beginning, you're a cult hero now. So anything you post is going to haunt you forever.
So funny. Who gives the best hugs? So I don't give them out still all that often, but
I guess that means you do. You know how they say if you can't think of who it is, it's you?
That's yeah, let's go with that. No, I think Mel gives a good hug. I'll give it to Mel.
Oh,
Mel gives
Mel.
it.
Oh, I freaking love her. Okay, last question. Maria on Twitter asks, what field position do you think you'd be best at?
Oh, I'd want to be a 9. I just would like stay up there and like run around and cause problems. Like I don't ask me to defend anything. Like I would be a horrible defender. I'd be committed to it, but like put me up top. Like I can chase things down. I can run. I will do my very best. But yeah, I'd want to be a 9.
Okay, Alyssa Naeher. I mean, you are a goal-scoring phenomenon, so it makes total sense to me. Alyssa, thank you so much for coming on the show. You have always been one of my favorite teammates. It's been so much fun for me to watch you from this side, crushing it, making save after save, scoring PK after PK. We go way back to our Boston days. Remember watching the Patriots at Lincoln, training in the off-season together, going to coffee during national team camp. I am really excited for you. I love how you're staying true to yourself all the time, and I'm always cheering for you. Excited to watch you at the Olympics. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you, Sam.
I seriously loved chatting with Alyssa so much. It was so fun to relive some memories from the U.S. Women's National Team with her and hear about her approach to becoming the U.S. Women's National Team's #1 goalkeeper. I love Alyssa, and I can't wait to watch her club team, the Chicago Red Stars, take on Bay FC at Wrigley Field this Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you're following along with us on social media at Women's Game MIB on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Tomorrow night, we'll be tuning in to the U.S. Women's National Team game at 8 p.m. and then posting a reaction to the game on YouTube shortly after the final whistle. Check out our YouTube page, Women's Game MIB, and subscribe to our feed. That way you won't miss anything. You can also always watch these interviews or episodes of Good Vibes on YouTube, and you can see our cute little faces while you listen. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast feed, and you'll be notified whenever a new episode drops. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you soon.